Shall we start now? Okay, fine. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Indu Gandhi, course instructor of this course, Construction Methods and Equipment Management. I welcome you all to this first interaction session. Yeah. So, before we move on to the discussion forum, we shall have a recap of what we have studied in the first 3 weeks of this course, and then let us to look into the questions posted in the link which was shared. Okay. So, in the first week, I have discussed the importance of learning this course. I hope most of you would have gone through the lecture videos. Basically, as a construction engineer or a planning engineer, you should have good knowledge on the equipment economics. Okay. So, because it is very much important right from the bidding stage. Say, for example, when you are participating in the bidding, of the construction projects. So you should have a knowledge on how to estimate the equipment cost because that also contributes to a significant amount of the project cost. Okay. So if you're not able to accurately estimate the equipment cost, what happens? Mostly if you underestimate the cost, you may overestimate the profit on paper and you may end up in problem. So that's why, as I discussed in my lecture video, we should have some thorough knowledge of how to estimate the equipment cost, even from the bidding the perspective. Okay, so for that you should know the knowledge on how to estimate the productivity of equipment and how to estimate the cost of the equipment. Okay, so in the first week, we discussed about the factors which affects the equipment selection because as a planning engineer, you should be able to choose the right machine for the right job. Okay, there are so many factors which affects equipment selection as we have discussed, and you can go through the video. So main thing is you should exactly meet the contract specifications, whatever mentioned in the contract document. Okay, that you should be able to meet. Your equipment selection should satisfy that, so that you should be able to finish the particular project or activity within the specified time frame and the budget. Okay, so accordingly you have to make the selection of equipment. So many other factors are there you can to go through. At least the basic thing is you have to meet the contract specifications. Okay. So then the next thing is we were discussing about what are all the components of the equipment cost. Okay. So the major classification is ownership cost and the operating cost. Okay. So what are all the different elements of the ownership cost we have discussed, like right from your cost of your investment, taxes, insurance, storage. Okay. So many components are there which we have discussed already. Okay. And also how to calculate the depreciation, which is also a very important component of the cost. Okay. So there are different methods like your straight line method, double declining balance method, and sum of years digit method. So many methods are there. We have compared the merits and demerits of all the methods in the lecture. Okay. So then how to estimate the cost? There are two approaches. One is the approximate approach, which is nothing but the average annual investment approach. And the other one is your time value approach. Okay. So both these things we have discussed in detail. Okay. So this time value is very important because it's a more accurate way of estimating the cost because the cash flows you can see are occurring at different time period. Say for example, you purchase the machine at a particular time period during the initial phase of the project. But when you sell the machine, you can see that this is at a later age. So when you're going to make a comparison or analysis, okay, you have to convert these cash flows into some equivalent value so that you can make a rational comparison. So for that conversion, you need to make use of some compounding factors. So we have discussed the use of different types of compounding factors in the from equipment perspective. Okay, we will discuss some of those factors in the upcoming slides also. Okay, so what are the use of those compounding factors? How it helps you to convert the cash into equivalent cash flows so that you can make a rational comparison of the various cash flows. Okay, so those things we have discussed in detail in the module 3. Okay, you can go through that. Okay, so then comes the operating cost. Okay, what are all the things? Your fuel cost, lubricating oil, your the vehicle labor charges, all those things comes under the operating cost. Okay, so those things we have discussed already. Okay, then the last part of the week 3 is your equipment replacement. Okay, what is the significance of equipment replacement also that we discussed? So basically, Just because your equipment is just functioning at your project site, we cannot stick on to that equipment. Okay, because of the advancement in equipment technology, you can see that many new models are coming into the market with better productivity, the lower operating costs and lower maintenance costs. Okay, so that's why we should always look for the good opportunity. Okay, and we have to replace the your old equipment with the new equipment. Okay, so the old equipment which is at your project site, we call it as Defender, and the new equipments which we are planning to procure from the market, we call it as Challenger. Okay, so you should always make a comparison of the Defender with the challenger. Okay, so there are different approaches. Like say you can compare based on minimum cost approach, or you can compare based on maximum profit approach. Okay, so either of these approaches you can use and find which is the optimum time for replacement of the old machine with the new machine. Okay, so and we have to the plan about the replacement of the machine. Okay, so that we don't enter into loss because of the higher operating cost of the old machines. Okay, fine. So with this, is there any new question posted in the Excel file? Okay. So as of now, in the Google form link, which was circulated, there was no the technical question posted till now related to the subject. Okay. So also in the general discussion forum also of the NPTEL portal, there is no doubt posted till now. Okay. So what I'm thinking is, I will discuss some of the typical questions from the first two assignments, which you might have already submitted, because the due date for submission is already over. So I hope all of you might have submitted the solutions for the assignment 1 and 2. So some of the questions we will discuss from the assignments. Okay. So the first question which we have taken is from the assignment 1. Okay. The sorry. So you can see that here we are trying to estimate the ownership cost of the equipment using average annual investment method. That was the question given to you. Okay, for a wheel tractor scraper, the purchase price is given 48 lakh. Okay, and the tire cost is given 3 lakh. And after the useful life of 7 years, you will be selling the equipment at 5 lakh. That's the salvage value of the equipment. Okay, and the equipment annual usage is 2,200 hours per year. Okay, how do you calculate the annual usage? You know that every day for how many hours you're going to use the equipment, and in a year how many days you're going to operate the equipment. Accordingly, you can calculate the annual usage of the equipment in hours. Okay, and other components of the ownership cost, like cost of investment, that is the interest rate, insurance, taxes, storage, all are given. Okay, these are all the ownership cost components. And also the cost of fuel is also given to you, which is a part of operating cost. Okay. So now what is the question asked? They asked you to calculate the average annual investment of this machine with the above input data. Okay. So this is the summary of the input data which we have just now discussed. Okay. Now let us see how to calculate the average annual investment. Okay. So this average annual investment, it is nothing but the average value of the machine over the particular useful life. Okay. How to derive this average value? The derivation you can go through in the lecture video. Okay. So with the purchase price and the salvage value, how to find the average value of the machine, I have discussed in the lecture video in detail. Okay. So this is the formula to calculate P into n plus 1 plus S into n minus 1 by 2n. P is your purchase price. You have to deduct the tire cost from the purchase price, because your tire cost you're going to consider it under the operating cost, because it's a highly variable one. You will consider it under the operating cost. Okay. So P into n plus 1, and your S is your salvage value, and n is the useful life of the machine. Okay. You just substitute the values. Okay. Your purchase price less tire is 45 lakh, and your salvage value is 5 lakh. Okay. And the useful life of the machine is 7 years. Okay, if you substitute, you can get the average value of the machine. Okay, so this is the first part of the question. Okay, yeah. The second part of the question is calculate the hourly combined cost of investment, tax, insurance, and storage. Okay, so you know that all these components of ownership cost are always expressed as the percentage of average value of the machine. Okay, so these percentages you can see your interest cost, your tax, your insurance, and storage. All these values are expressed as the percentage of the average value of your machine. This is the average value of your machine. Okay. Now you calculate the all these components of the ownership cost. So I need hourly cost. Always we estimate equipment hourly cost only. Okay. So to calculate the hourly cost, what are we supposed to do? Divide it by annual usage of the machine. Okay, 2,200 hours in a year. Okay, so you divide it, you will get the hourly cost of the machine. Okay, now you calculate the straight line. You calculate the depreciation using the straight line method. Okay, that was the third part of the question, maybe. Okay, so what is the hourly depreciation cost using straight line approach? Okay, that was the third part of the question. Okay, so that's a very easiest one to do. Okay, initial cost minus the salvage value minus the tire cost divided by your okay the I mean the life of the machine in terms of number of hours. Okay, so you can calculate, you will get the depreciation. Okay, okay, you will get the hourly depreciation. Okay, this is how you calculate. Now let us to move on to the um, question from assignment 2. Okay, assignment 2. I have taken the first 4 questions. Okay, so here also we are asked to estimate the cost of the machine, but using time value approach, time value method. As I told you, time value approach is a more accurate one because we consider the timing of cash flows. Okay, so that gives you a more accurate estimate. Okay, so basically what they're asking here is you calculate the annualized purchase price, annualized salvage value, okay, and calculate the hourly depreciation cost and the total ownership cost. Okay, these are the 4 questions. Okay, first let us do it one by one. So here what they have given you have to carefully note down the question. The equipment purchase price is given, it is nothing but 65 lakh and the purchase price is inclusive of the tire cost. Tire cost is 5 lakh here. Okay, so you have to subtract this 5 lakh from the 65 lakh. Okay, okay, your tire cost you should not consider under the ownership cost. Okay, so your purchase price less tires gives you 65 lakh minus 5 lakh, that is nothing but 60 lakh. Okay, now you have to calculate the annualized purchase price. Okay, so how are you going to calculate that? I told you already under the time value method lecture video, you can see that there are different compounding factors which we discussed and how we are going to use those compounding factors in the equipment economics. We have discussed with a lot of examples. Okay, so with the cash flow diagram I have explained earlier. Say for example, this is the cash flow diagram. You have the purchase price now. This is the present worth of the present value of the money. Okay, so you need to know what is the annualized value of this purchase price. Okay, you have the purchase price of the machine, how to convert it into equivalent annual amount over a period of n years. Okay, so how to calculate the annualized the purchase price from this the present value of the purchase price. So how to do that? You can go with the uniform series capital recovery factor. Okay, this is your uniform series capital recovery factor. It's nothing but I into 1 plus I per n divided by 1 plus I per n minus 1 multiplied by the purchase price. That will give you the annualized purchase price of the machine. Okay, so the present value, you know what is the purchase price. You can convert it into equivalent annual amount using this factor. Okay, and similarly, the salvage value is the one which is occurring in the future. Okay, say there is a future the cash inflow. This is your salvage value. How to convert it into equivalent annual amount? How to convert the future salvage value into equivalent annual amount? That for that you have to go for the uniform series sinking fund factor. Okay, this is the uniform series sinking fund factor. You multiply the salvage value with this factor, you will get the annualized salvage value. Okay, now you find the difference. Okay, you need to calculate the depreciation, which is a part of your ownership component. Okay, so your annualized purchase price minus your usage of the machine. Now, the last part of the question, you can see It's nothing but what is the total ownership cost calculated using the time value method. To calculate the total ownership cost, all the components like your taxes, your storage, your insurance, everything has to be added now to calculate the total ownership cost. So how to calculate that? Your tax is there, insurance is there, storage is there. All these are expressed as the percentage of the. Okay. Now to this 165 per hour, you add the 516. What is it? 516? That is the hourly depreciation which you have calculated. Okay. You add both, you will get the total ownership cost of your machine. Okay. So this is how you're supposed to estimate the ownership cost using the time value method. So in this the video, we have seen two different approaches. One is the average annual investment method, where we don't consider the timing of cash flows. Okay. Here, another method is a time value method. Okay. So using the compounding factors, we have considered the equivalent, we have estimated the equivalent cash flow, and we have estimated the ownership cost component. Okay. So both the approaches we have discussed now. Okay. So let me check if there is any question posted in the um, Google links shared earlier. Okay. So any learner has joined in the YouTube. Okay, fine. So if there is, yeah, am I audible? Anyone has joined online? Okay, your voice is not very clear. Whether anyone joined? Okay, okay, fine. And also in the Google link, no one has posted any question. So I think we can wind up the session. Yeah. Okay, okay then. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.